I'm Walter, 69 years old, sitting in a beat-up trailer in the Nevada desert, the only sound the faint hum of a generator and the howl of wind across the dunes. There's a bottle of Rotgut whiskey on the table, half empty, and a .45 pistol beside it, loaded, just in case the memories get too loud. I'm telling you this story because it's been 5 years since my life went to hell, and I can't carry it alone anymore. This is about my wife, Diane, who I loved for 44 years, and how her betrayal turned me into a man I don't recognize, a man who burned everything he built and left bodies in the ashes. It happened in 2020, in the glittering sprawl of Los Angeles, and it's as raw and vicious as it gets. Grab a seat, because this is going to be a long, dark ride, and I'm not sparing any details. It was 1976, and I was 20, a cocky kid working as a grip on a Hollywood film set, hauling lights for low-budget action flicks. Diane was 19, a makeup artist with chestnut hair, green eyes that sparkled like emeralds, and a laugh that could make a room feel warm. We met on the set of some forgettable B-movie, bonding over stale coffee, and shared dreams of making it big. I asked her out after she fixed my fake blood for a scene, and by 1977, we were married in a Venice Beach ceremony with 50 guests, a taco truck, and a boombox playing Fleetwood Mac. We were broke, living in a $300 a month apartment, but we were unstoppable, chasing the California dream. We clawed our way up. By 1985, I'd worked my way into producing, starting with music videos, then TV commercials. Diane built a name as a makeup artist for A-listers, working on Oscar-nominated films by the 90s. We had 3 kids. Emily, born in 1979, now a screenwriter in San Francisco. Lucas, born in 1982, a stuntman in Vancouver. And Olivia, born in 1985, a costume designer in New York. In 1995, I co-founded a production company, Starlight Media, which hit gold with a string of reality shows and indie films. By 2010, we were pulling $15 million a year. We bought a $6.8 million mansion in the Hollywood Hills in 2000, with a pool, a home theater, and a view of the city's twinkling lights. Our life was a red carpet fantasy, premieres, galas, vacations to Maui and Paris. By 2020, our net worth was $80 million, and I thought Diane and I were bulletproof. She was my partner, my muse, my everything. Until she wasn't. It started in February 2020 that I was 64, Diane was 63, and we were semi-retired. I consulted for Starlight greenlighting projects. Diane took on select clients, mostly pop stars and influencers. The kids were gone, and our mansion felt like a museum, too big, too quiet. Diane started acting strange. She'd spend hours on her phone, smiling at messages she'd hide. She'd leave for consultations in Santa Monica, coming back with her hair mussed and her eyes distant. She bought new outfits, silk dresses, stilettos, stuff she hadn't worn since the 80s. Her phone was locked, and she'd take calls on the balcony, whispering in the dark. I tried to shrug it off. Maybe she was planning a surprise. Maybe she was just bored. But my gut knew better. On February 14th, 2020, Valentine's Day, of all days, I found out. Diane left her phone on the kitchen island while she showered. Her passcode was our anniversary, June 12th, 77, which hit like a knife. A text from Jared read, "Miss you, gorgeous. Penthouse tonight, 8 p.m. My heart sank. I scrolled through months of messages, flirty, explicit, soul-crushing. Jared was Jared Klein, a 42-year-old music producer who'd worked with Diane on a pop star's video shoot. They'd been sleeping together for 9 months, meeting at a penthouse he rented in downtown LA, a $3,000 a month spot she'd helped furnish. I found photos, Diane in lingerie on his couch, Jared kissing her under a chandelier. Emails showed They'd spent $35,000 of our money, $10,000 on a diamond bracelet, $15,000 on trips to Cabo, $10,000 on dinners and clubs. They were planning to move to Miami, thinking I'd never notice the missing cash. I stood in our kitchen, the city glowing below, feeling like a fool. 44 years, 3 kids, an empire we'd built from nothing, and she was throwing it away for a guy who looked like he spent more on Botox than I did on my first car. I didn't confront her. I didn't break anything. I went to my study, poured a whiskey, and stared at the Hollywood sign. Rage settled in, not hot, but cold, sharp, like a scalpel. I wasn't going to let them walk away with a divorce and a slap on the wrist. I wanted them to suffer, to lose everything, to feel pain that'd last a lifetime. I wanted them gone. I spent 3 months planning. No anonymous texts, no petty games. This was LA, people disappeared, deals went dirty, and I knew the players. I'd rubbed shoulders with fixers, ex-cons, and producers who'd do anything for a price. I wanted Jared and Diane to pay with their careers, their bodies, their lives. I'm not proud of how far I went, but they broke me first. I hired a PI, a guy named Rico, who'd done work for me on a shady film deal in 2005. For $25,000, he tailed Diane and Jared, delivering 700 photos and hours of video. Them kissing in his penthouse, dancing at a club in West Hollywood, sneaking into a hotel. I hacked Diane's email, same passcode. She was careless, and downloaded 800 pages of texts, receipts, plans. I found bank transfers, $40,000 total, funneled through a shell account she thought I didn't know about. I also dug into Jared. He wasn't just a producer. He was laundering money through his music deals, skimming cash from artists. Rico got me proof. Photos of Jared passing envelopes to a guy in a Van Nuys parking lot. By May 2020, I had my plan. Jared was the spark, arrogant, flashy, thinking he was untouchable. I'd take him out first, make him a warning. Diane would watch, then face her own hell. On May 10th, I met a guy named Victor, a fixer I'd known from my early days in Hollywood. He was a shadow, the kind who made problems vanish for the right price. I paid him $75,000 cash, half my emergency stash, to set up Jared's fall. Jared's penthouse was his castle, 1,500 square feet of glass and chrome, where he threw parties for rappers and influencers. Victor rigged the place with a gas leak, subtle, in the kitchen line. On May 15th, 2020, Jared hosted a party, 50 people, music blaring. At 1 a.m., the gas ignited Victor's work, a spark from a tampered outlet. The explosion was small but deadly, blowing out the penthouse windows. Jared was caught in the blast, his face and arms shredded with burns. 3 others were injured, but he took the worst. The fire department called it a tragic accident. His career was over. Nobody hires a producer with a scarred face and a rap for negligence. He lost the penthouse, his deals, everything. He's in a halfway house in Riverside now, a husk. Diane was next. She heard about the explosion and came home sobbing, saying Jared was attacked. I played the grieving husband, holding her, asking if she was okay, but I was already moving. I knew she'd run to their other spot, a beach house in Malibu she'd rented for $5,000 a month with our money. On May 20th, I drove there in a rented van, $150 cash under a fake name. The house was isolated, waves crashing. No neighbors for a quarter mile. I parked in the dunes and walked in, carrying a duffel bag, a $400 lockpick set, a silenced 9mm I'd bought from Victor for $2,000, a can of lighter fluid, and a blowtorch I'd picked up for $50 at a hardware store. I wasn't sure what I'd use, but I wanted options. Diane was inside, alone, drinking wine on the deck, staring at the ocean. I picked the lock and slipped in, wearing gloves, a black hoodie, and a ski mask. She didn't hear me until I was behind her. She turned, screamed, and dropped her glass. "Walter," she whispered, her voice breaking. I ripped off the mask. I wanted her to see me. I showed her a tablet with Rico's video. Her and Jared, their texts, their plans to run to Miami. "You thought I was blind," I said. She cried, begged, said she loved me. I didn't listen. I tied her to a chair with zip ties, $10 for a pack of 100. I didn't hit her that I didn't need to. I poured the lighter fluid around the room, the smell sharp, suffocating. "You burned our life," I said. "Now I burn you." I didn't set the fire yet. I wanted her to feel the terror. I called Jared from a burner phone, using a voice distorter. $30 online. "Your girl's at the beach house. You'd better come." He showed up at 10 p.m., limping, bandaged from the explosion, driving a borrowed car. I was waiting in the shadows, the 9mm in my hand. He walked in, saw Diane tied up, and froze. "Walter, please," he started, raising his hands. I shot him twice, once in the shoulder, once in the leg. He collapsed, screaming. Diane was hysterical, pleading. I didn't look at her. I poured lighter fluid on Jared's clothes, his screams turning to whimpers. I lit the blowtorch, the blue flame hissing. "You took my wife," I said. "Now you're nothing." I burned his hands, just enough to scar the nerves, so he'd never hold a mixing board again. I let him crawl out bleeding and called 911 from the burner, giving them just enough to find him alive. I turned to Diane. Her eyes were wide, her face pale. I didn't burn her. Instead, I took the blowtorch and melted her wedding ring, our ring, on the table in front of her. The gold dripped, hissing, a puddle of what we were. "This is what you did to us," I said. I cut her ties, handed her a bus ticket to San Diego, $20 cash, and told her to disappear. "If you come back, the kids see the video. The cops get it too." She ran, sobbing, into the night. The beach house burned that night. Victor's work, a delayed fuse he'd set for $5,000. The news called it arson. No suspects. Jared survived, barely, with permanent scars and no career. He's a nobody now, washing dishes in some dive bar. Diane vanished to San Diego, living in a $700 a month room, working as a cleaner. The kids don't know the full story. They think she left for personal reasons. They call her once a month, but she's a ghost to them. On June 1st, 2020, I filed for divorce. My lawyer, a guy named Paul who charged $900 an hour, had everything ready. California's no fault, but the evidence killed Diane's claim to anything. I got the mansion, $60 million in assets, and Starlight Media. I sold the mansion for $8.2 million in August 2020 and the company for $25 million in 2021. I bought this trailer for $50,000, living off the grid, with no one but the desert for company. I don't sleep much. The sound of Jared's screams, the smell of lighter fluid, the sight of Diane's face, they're burned into me. I wanted them destroyed, and they are, but it didn't bring me peace. I'm a shell, drinking to forget, waking to nightmares. If you're thinking of cheating, don't, because someone like me might be waiting, and we don't just break you, we erase you.